But, we should have the debates. The one problem I have, the debate's very late. It's at the end of September, and a lot of ballots will already be cast by that time.
Biden doesn't want to debate. He's incoherent at best. We've seen many of his gaffes from his basement. They're afraid to put him on a debate stage. I just want to say this. I think it's disqualifying.
Where the Trump campaign wants to debate Biden 4 separate times, largely as a way in order to expose him to the rest of America. Biden campaign responding pretty forcefully yesterday. Let's throw that letter up there. They say that once that the vice president is invited, he will participate in 3 separate presidential debates, and they have called the call for more debates as a, quote, distraction.
The debates will matter at the margins. They typically aren't game-changing events, even though the media likes to cover them as they are, because it's a big spectacle and event. And so, there's a lot of hype and build up, but ultimately when it comes to poll numbers, they don't tend to move a lot. There have been exceptions in the past. But again, increasingly in this polarized era, when people have made their decisions, and increasingly people will have voted, some amount of people will have voted before all the debates have taken place. I think that's going to play a role as well as sort of mitigating the amount of effect they can have. So I think I wouldn't expect a lot. Again, Biden's going to try to just appear presidential, competent, coherent, and I think that's enough at this point. If the pandemic has not abated, has not gotten better, if we're not on a trajectory that shows that things are going to get much better in the near term, like the development and the beginning of the distribution of a vaccine, then I think that's the reality that Trump and his team has to face, and there's no amount of politicking and promoting and campaigning that's going to change the reality on the ground. They're responsible for it, the economy, the sort of healthcare disaster that the pandemic has unleashed. And again, unless you can wrap your arms around that and get a hold of that and convince the American people that you have, after 5 months where you haven't, there's only so much you can do in 90 minutes. One of the things that makes this election significantly different than 2016 is the polling in 2016 found a significant number of folks opting for third-party candidates. And most of the research shows that few people actually vote third party. They'll come home to the Democratic or Republican parties. Now there's less wiggle room for either candidate, right? Since very few people are now indicating that they're going to support a third party. So that means people feel much more locked into one or the other candidates. And it's true that Trump supporters actually feel more strongly about him than Biden supporters feel about their candidate, but you don't need people to love you. You need people to vote for you. So I think that's what the Biden team's counting on, is that they're going to peel off some disaffected Republicans, and the progressive base will come around because Trump is toxic among those folks. And that'll be motivating enough. And on Trump's side, they're going to absolutely try everything they can do to disqualify Biden, right? That they're going to try to paint him as someone who is incapable, and they're actually, challenging his sort of mental faculties.
Be successful. I sincerely hope some of you become millionaires and billionaires. I mean that. But engage.
There's during World War II, where Roosevelt came up with a thing that was totally different than he called it
I think that's what they're going to try to do, and it's a risky strategy, but I feel like it's the only one they really have at this point.